Take me to the heart of the union movement today. I mean, let's say, for example, your union, one of the most powerful, has 71,000 members, which seems big, but compare it with the workforce of 13.8 million Australians. The question is, I know that there is a Labor government also, so the influence of the union movement is stronger. Does it really have the same place, the same heart in Australia's sort of economy and fabric as it once did?
Yeah, I think the challenge for my successor and the challenge for leaders going forward is being able to get that proposition at scale to get people to join. And that is one of the hardest bits that trade unions are trying to grapple with. What I know is the value proposition still stands, that when we do have engagement and speak to potential members, workers in their industries about the value of a trade union, most people do join. It's how do you scale that up? And unions aren't very agile and they're not great at change. And that's been one of the biggest things which I've loved, and the thrill of being able to turn our organisation around. And we are a growing union now. As you said, we're just shy of 72,000, but it's not keeping pace with total employment growth. And so union density is declining. Total union membership as a whole is one of the single largest membership organisations across the entire country. But as the private sector continues to increase employment, that membership growth has to continue to go up at the same pace, otherwise density declines. And that is a fundamental challenge for the union movement.
Okay, so historically, a lot of people would look at the union movement and say it was all about negotiating wages or award wages, whatever it might be. But some of the great victories of unions really go to health and safety, and also go, in many cases, even if you look at the creation of compulsory superannuation in Australia, which was a deal between government and unions at that time. So I just wonder whether the future, the relevance of unions, goes to things that are not really about the negotiation of pay.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have a look in terms of what is a value proposition. It's the same as everything that you choose. People are obviously, as consumers, as customers, having a look and trying to make a question about value for money. And what we know is historically, unions have performed better and membership has grown in high inflation environments. And right now, cost of living pressures are impacting working people at an extraordinary level. And so I think you'll start to see the union movement membership continue to bump up over a period of time, as it is for the AWU. How you make it with, to say in a low inflation environment, the proposition is still as important at that point in time. And not be it just about wages and conditions, but other offerings that give that material benefit. And for me, it's sort of everyone sort of asks about, well, what are you going to do next? Like, I love the complexities of running organisations and obviously trying to work through the right strategies to make sure that you do have a growing, successful organisation. For us, it's about getting people to join. It's about providing them a good membership journey. It's about making sure that we can retain them throughout that process. And those are good challenges to have. And as I said, in these high inflation environments, I think it's a good opportunity for the AWU and for other unions to get in there to represent workers to get a fair and decent pay rise.
Okay, so then some of the victories we talked about, the health and safety issues, the recent success you've had with silica dust, for example, which clearly was, a health and safety risk to those workers. Yep. But you go back even further to asbestos, the work that was done to try and get that out of our system, to make certain there was a fair recompense for those people who were affected through their work. I mean, these are the moments when unions stand to the fore to represent the workers, to move, if you like, the living standards forward.
Yeah, so silica, for example, will be known, and silicosis will be known in the same vein that asbestos is in a few years' time. And that is unfortunately because so many workers are getting exposed to this deadly dust, and so few people know the harms and the consequences or where they get exposure. And I did a trip down to Canberra, saw the Prime Minister and a number of other ministers with a couple of our members who are victims who have all got uncertain prognoses on their future life. And it was one of the hardest moments for me personally on anything that I did sitting in the room with them. And more recently, Tony Burke, who's the Federal Minister, took up the charge on this. And I said to him earlier this week when we were sort of reminiscing about it, it feels strange reminiscing about things we've gone through. He should be enormously proud that he's played a part in obviously driving through some regulation across the whole country, which will go to protect tens, if not hundreds of thousands of workers who are exposed to silica in their workplace.
I can't let you go without talking about energy. You've been an advocate for gas and for nuclear to preserve jobs and manufacturing in Australia. And it is true to say that without strong manufacturing, you don't have a strong AWU. That's the linkage there, isn't it, that you've always tried to make people understand?
Yeah, so we're in heavy industry, we're in energy-intensive trade-exposed businesses, as well as in the resource industries and a bunch of others, health and local government. So we're a general union, and we get a broad perspective in terms of what's happening in the economy, and we can see the pressures that businesses have been under with energy for the last decade. And most people don't know we have a manufacturing industry in Australia because energy was our competitive advantage at the time, and that competitive advantage has been disappearing. And the government's working through a big wholesale change to have more renewables, and I've tried to take a pragmatic view to finding energy solutions that mean our members and the companies they work for get energy at the time they need it at the right price. It's part of that.
Hasn't made you many friends in some areas, though, has it?
No, I think it's funny, like I look back and just say, I think I've upset everyone on all angles over the journey. And I think, well, maybe that's the right place that I should have been in. And I think if you look at it right now, I've been pragmatic about talking about nuclear energy before, but if you maintain that pragmatism, it's got to cut both ways. And I see now just the sheer weight of investment and dollars around the globe going into other forms of energy development. And I think for nuclear, as much as I saw it as a fantastic opportunity, I think it's genuinely going to be extremely difficult for it to ever have a future in Australia. But if it does, I remain open and pragmatic to it, and hopefully it can create some good AWU jobs as well.
Well, Dan Walton, you've always been great for your time with us. We appreciate that very much. And I'm certain I'll talk to you in some other guys down the track as well. Many thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Ross. Cheers, mate.